Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated Legacy action. For today's midweek meta deck, we are playing a deck that managed to win the Legacy Showcase Challenge, which is quite a big premier event online. And this is a deck piloted by May 0024, and it's Eldrazi. We played Eldrazi a fair bit on the channel because it started doing quite well again. And I think this list is really solid and smashes down nice and hard. So we have all the Eldrazi you'd expect to see. We've got 4 Fleshrakers, 4 Linebreakers, 4 Thought-Knot Seers. We've got ourselves a couple of Reality Smashers, a couple of Devourer of Destinies to get these sort of opening hands looking a bit better. We can make sure that we're going to be drawing something decent on our first turn. We've got Kozilek's Command, which can just find us more action, give us more mana, deal with some problem like creatures in play or stuff in graveyard, or just combo out with the Fleshraker. We have Wastescape Battlemage as another piece of interaction that's just on a reasonable body. We have ourselves a 1-of Sire 7 Deaths that we can sometimes 2-4. And that's basically it for the threat base here. Obviously quite a lot of threats. We're going to be punching people relatively hard. No Endless One in this list. Endless One is a card that isn't very impressive, but when I've been playing it in the Eldrazi decks lately, it's felt alright actually. So I'm curious to see how this list without it fares. We've got 4 Chalice of the Void to disrupt our opponent a bit further, along with these 4 Wastelands, and the 4 Caverns to make sure their counterspells don't really work. This list has got 4 Lotus Petals and 2 Grim Monoliths. Now the Grim Monoliths are certainly more relevant post-board than they are in the main, but they're still pretty good in the main, allowing you to accelerate something bigger out, as well as sometimes playing around the Blood Moon effects, which is why there is more of them in the sideboard that we'll get to that in a minute. This particular list also has 2 Wastes, which is unusual. Normally only see 1, but this is another caveat to Red Stompy having a really good week last week. Sideboard-wise, we got some graveyard hate in Faerie Macabres. Playing the Macabres over the ley lines here, this is an attempt to try and defeat Blue-Black Reanimator and just say, let's hope Oozle Spells doesn't ruin us too hard. We've also got a couple of Unlicensed Hearse to add to that job. We have 2 more Sire 7 Deaths, so when we need this guy, we can reach for him and just beat creature combat handily. We've got some removal spells in Dismember. We've got some Null Rods that we can use to shut down like Carnforger decks. Obviously, we have some artifacts of our own, but the Null Rod's going to hurt our opponent a lot more. We've got some Grim Monoliths here. Now, we board these in against any sort of Blood Moon style decks because we can use this to play our Fleshraker, then any colourless spell just gets us more colourless mana, because getting actual factual colourless mana for things like, you know, the Thought-Knot Seer, Fleshraker, Smasher, Linebreaker, we're going to need actual colourless mana. The Sire 7 Deaths can also help in that capacity by being a thing that doesn't require us to have specific colourless mana, it just uses generic mana to cast. And there is also a 1-of Ghost Quarter when we need more land destruction type stuff. That's the list. It's a little bit different to the ones you've been playing lately on the channel, and I know some of you out there are quite big fans of the old Eldrazi Stompy, and these videos always tend to do very well, so sit back, relax, and enjoy me stomping some face with some Eldrazi, courtesy of this list from May 0024 that won the Legacy Showcase Challenge. For the best Eternal experience this summer, check out Eternal Mania in Hasselt, Belgium from August 8th to 10th. Aside from hosting the European Legacy Masters, they have a whole host of other tournaments from team trios to old school and pre-modern. I will be there playing Legacy and hanging out as a special guest. This will also be the first event that I'll be giving out my own special Marit Lage tokens, so why not come down to enjoy an awesome weekend ran by one of the best TOs in Europe. This hand is very slow, but we should be able to find a turn 2 play which should even things out a little bit, so I will keep this one. A basic forest and pass. Right, so off pops the Devourer of Destiny. We could take this Ancient Tomb, that gives us a turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer. That's pretty good, isn't it? Sure, I'll take the Tomb. And then I think we play out the Eye of Ugin. I think I would rather lose the Eye than the Tomb here, because the Tomb actually produces mana. So let's just play out the Eye of Ugin and pass it over. Next turn we can slam this Thought-Knot Seer. If our opponent starts playing blue mana, then we can pivot into going a little bit slower and playing the Cavern of Souls. If our opponent's like Cradle Control or like the Nardu mid-range deck that doesn't have a lot of counter magic. Okay, goodbye Eye of Ugin to our opponent's Wasteland. This could also be lands that we're up against. Just a weird hand. Wasteland of our very own. I think we play the Ancient Tomb. This way, if we draw a Soul Land, we can play out a Thought-Knot Seer. Alternatively, we could just draw a Fleshraker. This gives us more options of what we can play next turn by playing this out. Now, if we get Wastelanded for a second time, then we do actually have a lot of lands. Okay. Malevolent Rumble. So we are just looking at lands here. Lands should be pretty good against the old Eldrazi. Like, the lands deck is very good at beating decks that want to turn creatures sideways. Okay, Reality Smasher. I think we need to get rid of this as a Saga. We're not really doing the stompy thing this game. Hopefully they needed that as a saga for something. A Thespian stage, okay. A Lava Spur Boots. If they do manage to get a Marit Lage, it's going to be hasty, which is going to be bad news for us. Understood. Can we have a Soul Land, please? I would like to be able to cast this Thought-Knot Seer and have a look what's going on over there. Okay, we have an answer for the Marit Lage. That's something, isn't it? What are we going to play out? Probably just the Cavern of Souls is fine. And then we can hold up this Kozilek's Command if they make a hasty Marit Lage. If they didn't have this Lava Spur Boots, then it might make our lives a little bit easier. But now we just have to hold open 2 mana at all times to make sure we don't lose to it. So it's going to be even slower for us to deploy some threats here. But if they have a Dark Depths here, they can make their guy. If they have additional mana from anywhere, like crop rotating into Yavimaya, then they can attack this turn with it. Because the Yavimaya will allow the Dark Depths to also tap for mana. Alright, so there is a Yavimaya. So we kind of just need to hold up this Kozilek's Command the whole time. Even though I would love to deploy this Thought-Knot Seer. Let's play out a basic land, I guess. And we have to pass. We don't really have a choice here. 2020s are pretty scary. Or 2120s. Alright, they didn't go for it then. They might not have it. But we have to play like they do have it. Otherwise, we'll get absolutely crushed. It doesn't seem like our opponent's got other stuff going on. They're not pressuring us. That means we have to keep committing pressure to the board and tapping out. Would like to see an Eldrazi Temple or something like that would be good. And then we can play our Thought-Knot Seer while still holding up our Kozilek's Command. Alright, there is a Dark Depths. Understood. Doesn't look like they're going for it this turn. Just mean they have protection that they're going to try and play slower and get the protection for. It's very interesting they wouldn't go for it there. Like we are obviously representing something quite openly. A Wastescape Battlemage. Okay, so we can blow up this Lava Spur Boots. That doesn't seem the worst, does it? Play this out, name Eldrazi. Cast this with just Green Kicker. So exile these Lava Spur Boots so we don't have to worry about it having haste. So we'll have to make it the end step if they want to kill us with it. And it also means that we get to make it round the table with a Kozilek's Command if they Wasteland us. And we have a tiny little soupçon of pressure. They're just going to get rid of the depths here. Alright, they have a Wasteland. Now they're going to Wasteland us here. And we lose to the combo here. Alright. Let's go back in. What is useful here? I quite like the Unlicensed Hearse to stop their graveyard shenanigans. That seems pretty reasonable. I like the Ghost Quarter here. Do I need any of these other things? Like Grim Monolith can help us if we're getting mana denied a little bit. The Chalice of the Void. The only thing the Chalice of the Void is really countering is the crop rotation. Now, crop rotation is a pretty darn good spell. So are we supposed to do something about that? Or we could just take these out and just have like another big creature. Like, it hits Exploration and crop rotation. If we play on turn 1, it could be really good. But otherwise, it could be a bit awkward. I don't think the Sire 7 Death is actually that good here, really, is it? 7 mana is a lot. The lifelink, like, this is going to beat up on construct tokens, though. I don't necessarily think that's what this game is about. We definitely want the Ghost Quarter. I think the Hearse is better than the Faerie Macabre here. It kind of does the same thing, but multiple times. I would like to try and fit some of these back in. This kills their massive guy. This doesn't really kill their massive guy. Maybe we'll take out these Devourers and just have 3 Chalices in. However, we're not going to get Chalice flooded. It does make our opening hands slightly weaker, potentially. I think just having more spells that can make the game very one-sided and Chalice makes more sense here. I mean, you've got to fit these things in somewhere, right? We can make this Chalice on 1. I think that is an okay thing to do here. We've got a threat to follow up with at some point, but if we're on the play and we put Chalice for 1, that's going to really hamper what our opponent can do. They're not going to be able to play any of their silver bullets if they're in hand. They're not going to be able to crop rotation or exploration. I think we play out this. We'll just do this for 1. I would always prefer to be on the land side of this matchup, personally. Being able to pressure an Eldrazi deck's mana base is really good. Having all these different answers and then just a combo finish. there's a lot of stuff going on there. Alright, so we have 2 Eldrazi Temple, so we can Kozilek's command if we want to, but we probably want to save this just to deal with Merit Lages. The lands deck these days are kind of very, not all in on the Dark Depths combo, but they are very fine-tuned to getting it. They've got 4 copies of all of their combo pieces. What's happening here? Boseiju on this. Okay, that's fine. Yes, I'll go and get one of our... Oh, no, they don't have a basic type, do they? Oh, that's so annoying. That is very annoying. Because now we are further behind than I wanted to be. We've got a Ghost Quarter, so we're not getting killed by the combo immediately. You can Boseiju me again. No. Malevolent Rumble. Sure. The only thing they can take here is the Dark Depths, because it's only a permanent card. Okay, so they do have the combo over there. That is unfortunate for where we're at right now. Which is better to play here? If we play out the Eye of Ugin and they Wasteland our Temple, we can't use this Kozilek's command. So we should be playing out this Cavern of Souls on Eldrazi. That way they can't Wasteland us off of Kozilek's command this turn cycle. I doubt they're going to go for it with this Ghost Quarter here, but we just need to be shields up here. We're very poor at interacting with 2020s. Like, we have the Kozilek's command, and that's it. Like, this can bounce one, but they're not just going to leave it in play. They're going to assemble the tools to just kill us in one swing, where we get no sorcery speed interaction with it. Life from Malone, Boseiju who endures, and the Yavimaya. I don't really want them getting this Boseiju. Is this a time where we fire off this Kozilek's command? Could be a little awkward. Alright, so we're going to exile some cards from graveyards, and we're going to get some more mana here. So we're going to target this, and that's all we can target, right? Like, when they have 2 loams, it's going to be very hard for us to deal with the Boseiju. We have to just get rid of it that way, and make sure this spell does nothing. Alright. Eldrazi spawns staring at one another. Cavern of Souls. I don't think we need the Cavern of Souls right now, do we? If we play this out, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana, so we can hold up our Ghost Quarter. 1, 2, 3. And then the 2 come off the Ugin. The Eye of Ugin. Okay, so we've got a plan here. We're going to turn this guy sideways and hope that their Life from the Malones that they dredge don't do that much. Like, if they're dredging and casting Life from the Malone, they're probably not really interacting on the board in a meaningful way, which means we just get another swing with our Smasher. And then maybe we can just get over the finish line using like a Wastescape Battlemage at opportune time. Sitting on this Ghost Quarter that we boarded in. Also, as an aside, we still don't have an old bordered printing of Ghost Quarter, which feels criminal to me. It's such a classic card. And obviously, I like my old bordered cards for depths. So go on, Wizards. Give us an old bordered Ghost Quarter. They even did like a set with a load of old border Ravnica cards and then a set with an old border Innistrad cards and didn't put this in either of them, which is where it has appeared in regular printings. Oh, felt like they were about to cast a Crop Rotation then, and then just remembered that we have a Chalice. That's just the vibe I got. So probably seeing... Okay, Malevolent Rumble was pretty good. What have they found? A Tabernacle and a Maze of Ith and a Wasteland. Okay. Which one of these lands do you want me to Wasteland? I wonder how many forests they have. I reckon they might not have another forest, you know. I chose Maze of Ith. Whenever this is a target of a spell, so not spell or ability. Okay. Thought-Knot Seer. I think this is an easy thing to play, and then we can work out what our opponent's got in hand. And then we can work out the best way of attacking them. Because the Maze of Ith won't stop our creatures. It'll stop one creature a turn. So I don't think we need to Ghost Quarter that. But they have the mana to make the Dark Depths, so we can't afford to Ghost Quarter the forest yet. We could... Oh, Force of Vigor on the Chalice, pitching a Crop Rotation. You got it, opponent. A Lava Spur Boots. We don't want that to be around. We don't really want the Expedition map either. Double Dark Depths. Yeah, this is a little bit of a conundrum for us. I think we have to take the Lava Spur Boots. And then let's see. Let's make them use the Maze of Ith. They might not know this is spell or ability and they might take the damage. They might not know it's just spells. Alright, Okay. There was a potential window for our opponent to make a mistake if they'd have slightly misread this card, which doesn't see the most amount of play. Let's play this on Eldrazi. So I could Ghost Quarter away this Thespian stage and then just go and get another one. So I don't think that's the play here. If they play a Tabernacle, we use these spawn tokens to pay for our friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're pretty close to activating the Eye of Ugin, which can do some Linebreaker crimes. A Yavimaya, that's excellent for our opponent there. We have an Expedition map. So I think they're just going to keep assembling the combo until we die. Alright, let's go to attacks. Now you can measure this one of my guys. But there's 4 damage coming across. They can chump block it if they want to, or they can take 4. They're still on 15. This is a horrible matchup for us. I'm just going to take the 4, so they want to have all the mana available. I'll play out this Secluded Courtyard. I'll nail Eldrazi. I guess we're not doing anything, but if we're not doing anything, we can then activate the Eye of Ugin at end step. So we can go and get something useful. So this is going to be cracking into the Expedition map. They're going to go and get another Thespian stage, perhaps, here. So they can just make a 2020, force us to deal with it, and then make another one. That's a pretty strong play. Okay, just getting a Boseiju who endures instead. In that case, we now need to... They have a forest. So if we try and Ghost Quarter this, it still works, right? Because this is any land. It's not just non-basic land. So I think this is our opportunity... No, because they still have the mana to make the Marit Lage here, don't they? Yeah, this is an awkward spot to be in. Boseiju specifically not letting us get a waste is annoying. Because waste doesn't have a basic land type. And they dredge life from the loam. Life from the loam, getting back. Wasteland, Tabernacle, Thespian stage. Yep, this feels like pretty bad news for us. A Wasteland, it's good. There's still a Boseiju over there as well. So we could Ghost Quarter away this Malevith. So we could go and shoot for something, and that gives them a free window to assemble whatever they want. But I think it's okay. Let's do this. What are we going to fetch here? So we just get the Smasher, does the most damage. Or we get the Sire of 7 Deaths, but that's very easy for them to Wasteland us off of it. Do I like the Linebreaker? The Linebreaker is 3 plus 3, so this is more damage than... Yeah, this is the most damage. They're going after our Ghost Quarter now. Yep, that was always something that could happen. Can we draw one of our own Wastelands? We can. Interesting. Okay. Plays Wasteland out. Let's go for red. We just need one colourless here, don't we? Let's get a Linebreaker in. Let's go to attacks. This targets this guy. Now, if we blow this up, they make a 2020, they block here, they take 9, then they don't kill us. That's interesting. But at the moment, they don't have to do that because they have this Maze of Ith, right? So they can not take 9, they can take 4. Tap out one creature, kill the other. If we kill this, if we kill the Maze, we kind of force them into making Marit Lage's turn. If we have tapped... No, we need the colourless. We should have left this Secluded Courtyard up, I think. Because if we want to cast... The idea is we're trying to bait out our opponent's Marit Lage that we can then bounce second main phase. So we lose a creature, but we force through a lot of damage. Alright, so they're out of green mana. So our plan is going to work, is what you're telling me here. So we'll attack with all creatures here. They can gobble up one of them. They might have to put a spawn under the bus here. Sure. So they're going to take 5. We do lose the Linebreaker, but they're going to lose the Marit Lage, and then they're going to take a while to rebuild. Alright, so just getting rid of everything. So we trample over for 4. And then we cast this with Kicker. So this is blue. Get out of here, Marit Lage. Okay. That was a pretty good turn for us. We have lethal damage coming back. Now, our opponent can Life from the Loam and get back like a Mazevith. So we'll only be dealing 6 damage. But that should be enough to get through here. Alright, we managed to get that game. Whew. Quite a tight one. Do I like the Chalice of the Void as much on the draw as I do on the play? Shutting off crop rotation is pretty important, but can we rely on this Chalice of the Void? Especially when they got a bunch of like nonsense to mess with our artifacts and enchantments. I think I'm just going to take in these Faerie Macabres and just try and curtail their graveyard that way. Like, there's options for things like Null Rod as well here if you want them, but that's not really what I'm about. I think we just want to make sure that we can deal with the loam, try and get through the first burst of things our opponent does, and go from there. Not looking forward to getting Wasteland with this hand. But when do I look forward to getting Wasteland with a hand, right? I think we keep this. Wouldn't mind a Lotus Petal. We can just start popping off with all of our Fleshrakers. This damage will mount up incredibly quickly. But we are going to be in pretty much just a race here. And I imagine our opponent on the play is more inclined to just go fast and try and get underneath us. Okay, so we've got Mox Diamond. Getting rid of a Boseiju, not a fan of those. A Wasteland. And an Expedition map. That's a pretty scary turn 1 for our opponent there. I guess this is what we do here. We name Eldrazi, we let our opponent Wasteland us, and then we keep the land that produces 2. Although it doesn't produce 2 for Grim Monolith, unfortunately, because this is not an Eldrazi. Alright, that is an Urza Saga. They're not wasting us, are they? Or are they wasting us in our turn? I think you just snap it off here, right? Nope, they are wasting us now. So this Urza Saga, they're going to need another land for it to do anything. We have to pay our land so we can continue to try and play this game. But it's looking bad. We have the ability to exile an Urza Saga construct here and draw a card, which is about all we're going to really manage. I really do love the lands, look. If someone wants to buy me some Mox Diamonds and a Tabernacle for Christmas, be my guest. Okay, so Urza Saga ticking up. So this turn they probably just want to play a land and then get this running. Now they could play the stage and then go for the infinite constructs over time, where you turn this into a saga, wait for it to get 2 chapters and turn it into something else. But I don't think that's what we are looking at our opponent to do. I think they're just going to make some constructs and this can tutor them like another map or something. Or the boots and just get in with some big constructs. And then if they start outscaling our creatures, then we're not winning. Come on, land. We did find a land. It's a pretty good one as well. So we tap this. We could just die to their combo next turn, but we need to get something going, otherwise we're never going to be able to... Actually, this isn't going to quite work as much as I need it to. Because we get 1 token off of this guy. That's not enough to activate this Kozilek's command as well. What's going on here? A Boseiju. None of our lands are a basic type. That's fun, isn't it? And they know that we were going to try and play a second Fleshraker, but we can't now because we don't have the Eye of Ugin. Pretty good, but our opponent doesn't have a construct, so that's something. But it feels like they're just going to go for a Marit kill with the boots this turn. Not really much we can do about that. And they could have beaten this with a Boseiju on our Eldrazi Temple at end step anyway. Which is why I think it's better to go front foot forward. Now maybe we're supposed to play the Thought-Knot Seer there instead. But getting this out allows us to empty our entire hand. Okay, so this gets them a Yavimaya or a Dark Depths depending on what's in their hand. Oh, an Ancient Tomb. Interesting. Is that not... Okay, they've got a Lava Sphere Boots here. They play this. So they activate this. Then we get killed by a Hasty Guy. Yep, absolutely crushed by lands, as expected. Okay, on to the second round. Okay, we can keep this one. We're mulligan to 5 cards. Oh, sorry, I just hit my mic there. Hope that didn't deafen anyone. 3 cards. Are we going to get to play a game? Who knows? Is this just going to be a Lion's Eye Diamond Echo? No, we are doing some Oozle spells nonsense. Lovely stuff. A Thoughtseize, sure. What do they take here? The one thing that interacts with their graveyard seems like a reasonable shout. Or they can take the Grim Monolith that is the thing that makes it so we can actually use this on turn 1. Alright, so you're saying that we need to just pressure our opponent and kill them that way. Understood. There is a Grim Monolith. Here is a Fleshraker. We don't have any red mana as of yet. So it might be a little bit awkward getting anything else. But we can play a Thought-Knot Seer if we draw it next turn. A Dark Ritual. Really? Okay. Our opponent mulled to 3 this game. Not exactly happy about where our current position lies. Of Wasteland, we can take our opponent off of mana and hope that works. That is the only play we have. Is it worth playing this one out right now? It gets us more mana for next turn. Although if we draw a blue source, we still can't pop this at the same time anyway to get this out of play. But maybe if we get 2 turns we do, so I don't think we play it out. Alright, they've missed on mana, I believe. They should attack here, right? Okay, they didn't attack. Thought-Knot Seer. Okay, I will play this one out. Pact of Negation, sure. You can lose that. Are we just going to be dead next turn? I'd love to find a blue source. That would really help me out. Our deck has a lot of mana. There it is. There is the Lotus Petal, and we are dead. So our opponent killed us on a mull to 3. Not a big lover of that for us. With disruption as well. Yikes. Let's just have a quick peek at their graveyard, see if there's anything interesting over there. There's not going to be, but you never know. A new set's come out. Maybe there's some weird tech that I hadn't considered. What we got here? Just the normal stuff here. Disciple of Freyalise build. Cool. And we are not very well equipped to beat this because we don't have ley lines. We have the thing that's good against the reanimator deck, not the thing that's good against the Use of Spells list. So I'll have some Null Rods. I'll have some Unlicensed Hearse. I'll have some Ghost Quarter. It interacts with our opponent. That's all we can ask for. How are all these things? I like the Chalice here. 7-drop is a bit of a joke. Do we need this to find our hate pieces? Possibly. We can probably get rid of the Smashers. The Wastescape Battlemage here is fine. If they play our artifacts, we can break them. If we're boarding in Null Rods, do we keep the Petals and the Monoliths? Probably the Monoliths go, especially since we're boarding out the top end. Maybe we board out the Devourers because of that. Do we want these? So Unlicensed Hearse and Null Rod is obviously a nombo, but we have to do what we have to do sometimes. This can find us our hate pieces on turn 1. This can help me play them earlier, but the text of it gets worse. Okay, let's just get rid of these and have another Smasher back in and try this. I think we are, without the ley lines, I don't think we're in a great spot in this matchup. What does this hand do? Nothing. Let's mulligan this. What does this hand do? Nothing, but differently. Do we think our opponent's going to go slower? Because they must expect us to have Lane on the Void, because that's just so common in the Eldrazi lists. So what does this hand do? This plays 2 Fleshrakers on turn 2 into Unlicensed Hearse. That does sound good to me. I guess we'll put back the Linebreaker. I don't think we're playing this out, are we? I think we just play out the Eye of Ugin first. And then next turn we can play double Fleshraker into Unlicensed Hearse. Is that going to be good enough? Almost certainly not. Our opponent kept 7 cards. The amount of times that Oops or Spells loses on 7 cards is very slim. But our opponent appears to be... They could just be discarding the monster to reanimate. They did not. Okay. Okay. Things are happening now. So we go Fleshraker. So our opponent almost certainly has answers to artifacts and enchantments. It felt like they were trying... They kept a hand to beat Leyline if they're not killing us on turn 1. So we get our little Fleshraker doing its thing. So we can play this out for free and cut off all their 0-drops. And then we can play this one out. I could play out this Wastescape Battlemage, just have more power. That's probably not a bad shout. If we had coloured mana, then things would be different, but we don't. We're just putting our opponent to dead on board. They have to get through Chalice and a Licensed Hearse on turn 2. So we've got turn 3 Goldfish, not bad. But our opponent gets to be on a play for game 3. Now, they don't know if we have ley lines. They might just assume that we have the Hearses. If we show them no graveyard hate, they'd be more inclined to assume differently. Do we just kill our opponent? I guess so. You're on 4 there. We could just cast this Chalice and our opponent would die to the Fleshraker triggers. Getting in with his 0-1s. Teach them a lesson. Okay. Well, I don't know why our opponent kept their hand. That's all I can say. But I'm glad they did because we managed to get a game. I think we just go back in with the changes we've made. Having the Lotus Petals to play an early Null Rod is definitely more of an idea on the play, though. On the draw, sorry. We can keep this. We have 2 pieces of graveyard hate. One of them is a turn 0 piece. How often does this win us the game? Not very often, but it is more than 0% of the time. So I'll take more than 0% of the time. If our opponent goes low on resources, then they might not have the mana left over to do Memory's Journey, and we can just blow them out with this Faerie Macabre. Bog at Bog. Tapped or untapped? Which way, opponent? Untapped. Terrible news for us, I guess. Lotus Petal. Dark Ritual? Cabal Ritual. No, just a Balustrade Spy with no cards in hand. Okay, so let's pop out their graveyard here. We have a line that works here. That's not their graveyard. This is their graveyard. Okay, they have a lot of Narcomoebas. How many Thassa's Oracles do they have? That is step 1. I am seeing... There it is. They have 1 Thassa's Oracle, I believe. I can only see 1 in here. So we take out the Thassa's Oracle. That does some work for us. What about Dread Returns? How many Dread Returns do they have? 1 Dread Return. I'm only counting 1 Dread Return. Okay. What about Memory's Journey? Should just be 1. If you don't want them to be able to fire that off next turn, we want them to deck and die. So we're going to discard the card and exile up to 2 cards. So if we take out the only thing that wins in the game immediately, that seems like a good shout, doesn't it? Because they're not going to be able to kill us with haste. So we take out the Thassa's Oracle, and we take out the Memory's Journey, and then they'll deck on their next turn. Like I said, you don't often get to beat Oots with a Faerie Macabre, but when they multi-5 and use all their resources, you can sometimes get there. Whew, we took the match, let's go to round 3. Have you got magic cards you don't want taking up space in your home, or do you just need some extra spending money? Well, my lovely sponsors, 3for1 Trading, are buying all collections, big and small. They are one of Europe's biggest traders and have a transparent process to sell them cards and make sure you're getting a good deal. Click the link in the description of this video to get an offer on your cards today. Turn 1, Linebreaker. Sure, it's aggressive. Our opponent is a no-neutral speller, but I have seen them playing a bunch of different things as well, so not just always on neutral spells. You can't just assume that. There are some people who you can reliably assume are on a certain thing most of the time. But lately, our opponent's been dipping into other decks, like Tempo and stuff like that. So we'll just see what this holds for us. Swamp. Alright, so probably on Tempo. Thoughtseize. Goodbye, Eldrazi Linebreaker. That's the only relevant card in our hand. It's not particularly strong keep, this one. But we can cast all of our spells and get through Wastelandy type stuff. Being, if our opponent's on a neutral spells deck, we're just going to lose anyway. If they're on a Tempo deck, we at least have mana sources so we can get through Wastelands and things. A Glaring Fleshraker. Don't mind if I do. Alright, let's play out this one. This is the one I don't care about getting Wastelanded as much. Next time we can play Fleshraker around a daze, pop out a couple of petals, start stripping our opponent's life total back. Possibly play a Wastescape Battlemage. We'll see. We got another Thoughtseize, another Thoughtseize. So they get to see this Fleshraker and take it. Okay. It's pretty good. And a Wasteland. Yep. So now this mana source heavy hand doesn't look so bad. A Wasteland of our very own. I'll play this out naming Eldrazi. We're getting Thoughtseize again. It's just a little Nethergoyf. Is our opponent? They are blue-black Tempo, sure. I Thought-Knot Seer. 2 cards in our opponent's hand. Like, it's not going to get much better for us, is it? And we'll play out this other one so we can play around a daze. Brazen Borrower, okay. So I've just got a Wasteland in hand. At the moment, we're doing okay. Our body is beefier. I take our Ancient Tomb. That strips out our overall mana producing capabilities. Secluded Courtyard. Sure, let's just crack in with our Thought-Knot Seer. And I'll play out this Wasteland. And bank some coloured mana off this Secluded Courtyard in case we draw something like a Linebreaker. Just having more access to coloured mana feels like a good place to be. We are winning this race handily right now. So something's going to have to change here. If our opponent just bounces this guy, it's very irritating for us. I believe we save the Wastescape Battlemage for a more problematic threat. And which of these lands is best? I think we play out this now. We save this burst of mana off of this Eye of Ugin. But if our opponent can drop a Murktide Regent soon, then bouncing that out of play is really important. A Barragoyf is not a thing that I want to have to be fighting. So let's see. Also, if they get a land here, it's almost certainly going to be a non-basic. Right, they're back on blocks. This means Orcish Bowmasters, I believe. If that's the case, then we probably want to bounce out this Nethergoyf to make sure we can connect into the Bowmaster our opponent's telling us they have. So we need one. No, we probably don't want to spend that mana. Just do one and a blue here. So this gets rid of this so we can attack into the Orcish Bowmasters without problem. They can obviously chump block here and that's fine. The Wasteland will deter them from getting a Surveil land. If my opponent's going to broadcast that they have a Bowmasters, we may as well take it. Are they going to play end step? They're going to 3 life. Sure. See what they mill over. And I will take this out. Just to keep them off with 3 drops, things like the Barragoyf, which can be pretty scary for us. So no Barragoyf coming down this turn. We know they've got a Necrogoyf, or whatever it's called, Nethergoyf, that can sit in front of our Thought-Knot Seer. But if they crack this fetch hand, they die to the Wastescape Battlemage. Alright, we just get the match. Oh, sorry, the game. Alright, blue-black tempo, you say. How do I feel about our deck in this matchup? I don't mind having answers to Barragoyf. I don't mind having enormous boys, but getting through all of our opponent's land hate can be a bit of a problem. I like the Chalice a lot. This might just be a no changes. Thinking about it, if we just want to stomp away, I think that ends up being best for us. We could trim on Kozilek's command to get some Dismembers in. If we're just trying to go bigger than our opponents, we might not have to dismember their creatures that much, but Kozilek's command will kill creatures in the same way Dismember, but has other utility. Honestly, I think we're just going straight back in. We could board up to have 1 additional land. We could even board up to 61 cards and just increase our odds with our lands that way. I don't know if we want Devourer of Destiny. This is pretty good at killing like Barragoyfs and things as well. I think we're just going to send it. It's not unusual to have decks where their main configuration is good against tempo stuff in Legacy, because that's one of the more prevalent archetypes. Obviously, we're currently living in combo hell, and there's just all the combo decks all the time. But there's still a decent portion of tempo-y style decks out there. We cannot keep this hand. Let's mulligan. This hand is a keeper. We probably get rid of the 7-drop. Well, we're not a million miles away from casting it early, but I just don't think we need to keep a 7-drop in hand. We've got loads of action in our deck. We're pretty creature dense. I just like making sure we have mana underneath us against a Day's Wasteland matchup. We also have the Cavern, which is pretty big news. That is a Nethergoyf, sure. Just a little guy. I Thought-Knot Seer. Okay, let's fire in with this Grim Monolith. Are you going to daze me? I think they should daze if they have it, because we are a deck that plays the Cavern of Souls, and they don't know how useful their daze is going to be in future turns, so I like that daze quite a lot. And a Wasteland to follow up is also good. Okay, opponents. This is a very similar start to the last game, to be honest, which did work out well for us in the end. Okay, here is our wastes. We can't really cast any of our spells just yet. Gonna need to find some soul land capability, I think. But our creatures are bigger, so once we get them in play, they should be fine, right? We should be able to win combats, so our opponent can't really pressure our life total anymore. Another Nethergoyf. These can obviously grow, though. What have we got here? An Eldrazi Temple. Is it time to Eldrazi Temple and play this Fleshraker into a Daze / Force of Will? I think it is. As awkward as that is, I think we need to get on board. Like, if this game ends and we have cards in hand and we lost because we didn't get to play enough cards, then that's on us, really. We need to make sure we're making plays. They all have already burned a Daze as well. They probably don't even care that much about this 2-2. They're probably just going to kill it with a Fatal Push or something. Alright, Undercity Sewers. Seeing if they can grow their Nethergoyfs by 1 before they attack. Makes sense. And then they're going to Fatal Push this. Yep, just like we thought. But then we get to play a 4-4, which can then roadblock these creatures. And then hopefully we draw some more lands, drop a Devourer of Destiny on the next thing they play, and then we're golden. Play this, name Eldrazi. Just get a nice look at our opponent's hand. Strip away the best thing. Force of Will, Murktide Regent, Tamiyo. What is the best thing here? Is it Tamiyo? It might well be Tamiyo, because we can bounce out the Murktide Regent, and then it becomes a lot worse. Yeah, I think we just take Tamiyo here. Force of Will is blanked by our Cavern. Obviously, if our opponent draws a Wasteland and get wrecked me, but the bounce of the Wastescape Battlemage gets through the counter magic anyway, because it's a cast trigger, not an ETB trigger. Right, here comes Big Daddy Mercs. There it is. And then we just get to bounce it out. And then next time they replay it, we get to do even more goodness. Reality Smasher. I do like the Reality Smasher, but we're not really smashing the Reality now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're pretty close. So let's cast this with Blue Kicker. There's 1, 2, blue, and this. Get out of here, Murktide Regent. And then just like that, we've transitioned to being the aggro. I will play this out. This gives us options if we draw a land to make a Devourer of Destiny, which is going to be the thing that takes out the Baragoyf or the Kaito, or whatever the next thing our opponent is committing to the board is. Okay, our opponent has 1 mystery card. What is it going to be? A Cavern of Souls. I think it might just be better to play this Reality Smasher, to be honest with you. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we play this one out on Eldrazi. And we have to take damage this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very uncounterable. This can't be countered, but they're trying to bounce a land back to their hand for some reason. Like the Undercity Sewers for the Surveil. It's a little bit desperate, so I'll take it. It does also grow these, so they can double block this Thought-Knot Seer if they want to. Do I want them getting that? Nah, we're just coming with the Smasher, it's fine. 5. Next turn we can clean up whatever the scariest thing on the board is and continue to beat. I don't think we care too much about the Tamiyo. They're not really going to have the time to get clues out of this and use them. They could flip it with a Brainstorm and shrink our creatures, which is not nothing. But once it's flipped, it's obviously very easy to blow up because this is a cast trigger, so they can't really stop it. But then also, they can't Brainstorm to flip it because it's already flipped. Right, a Verdant Catacombs. So we know they've got land, Force of Will in hand. And they're coming in with the clue. This suggests to me that they are going to be flipping it this turn. No, interesting. Secluded Courtyard, you say. Let's play this on Eldrazi. Let's cast this guy. This is 2. Uncounterable. Uncounterable. This is 4. We do need to tap this, though. Just take out one of these Nethergoyfs. And our opponent's scooping up to that. Yep, we did the Eldrazi thing. Not too shabby. I think Eldrazi can struggle against blue-red tempo, but against blue-black tempo it's a lot slower. Eldrazi's pretty good at grinding through it. Alright, let's go to round number 4. A turn 1 Linebreaker is not a bad place to be, is it? Well, certainly not for us. It's not going to be great for our opponent. And then we can just back up with a bunch of Wastelands and start shredding. If we draw a red source next turn, we get to play a second Eldrazi Linebreaker, which is going to be super good. Now, our opponent could have Force of Will here, but we're not going to not just bash our opponent for 4 on turn 1. In we come. Down you go, opponent. Right, they're on to 6 cards with their mulligan as well. So we've got Basic Island, an Ether Vial. Okay, so we're going to be looking at Merfolks over here. Glaring Fleshraker. It'll have to do. So daisies and things are live now. If our opponent runs them. This is worth 3 damage on its own, because we get to give it +1. Right, there is the daze. We don't get to pay, we do get to attack with a large creature though. Our opponents set themselves back in terms of their development, so they're just going to keep taking damage from this. I doubt their deck has a lot of removal. Maybe they've got main deck Dismembers. Now, our opponent might be on something really fruity that isn't Merfolk. Obviously, Merfolk is pretty peculiar to see in this day and age anyway. But we just have to wait and see. It could be like Esper Vial rather than like Merfolk. So they can have things like plows and stuff. We don't have the mana we really want here. So we can deploy this guy. We can't really kick him, but we can just make a guy, and this is just more damage. I would love to be able to hit this Ether Vial with him, but nope. Okay, so we're getting Force of Will out of this. Because this is, again, worth 3 damage immediately because we touch it with the Linebreaker. Actually, no, it's worth 4 damage, isn't it? Because it's +2. Alright, our opponent doesn't like it. Okay. I believe this is a matchup where I would like some Dismembers. I don't think we're going to need the Sire of 7 deck. They are a creature deck, but they're probably going to be messing with our lands a little bit. Is this a matchup where we want the Grim Monolith because our opponent's going to have access to Harbinger of the Seas? That's so slow, though. Do I want the lifelink from it? I think if we're not on the front foot, things are going wrong anyway. So let's have a Dismember. The Chalice doesn't look great here, actually. Let's get rid of these Chalices. So we get the Dismembers and we probably keep the Sire 7 Deaths. And we're still one card extra that we can add in. If we're adding in a Sire 7 Deaths, should we just put in a little Grim Monolith to help things along? We could play like a Null Rod, but I think I'd rather have our Monoliths and Lotus Petals. Because our creatures, pound for pound, are better than our opponents. Now they have synergies where they play multiple and then all of a sudden they've got a whole load of big guys getting pumped by Lords. But if we can, you know, extract the right value with our other cards, we should be fine. I don't like this one. It's very medium. Let's mulligan. This is kind of the same hand, but slightly better. I'll keep it on a 6. I like the Cavern a lot. Obviously going to keep both of our payoff spells. I think we get rid of one Lotus Petal here. We don't have immediate great use for it. We're going to see an Ether Vial straight up. Island and pass. A Wasteland. We know our opponent runs Wastelands. Are we supposed to do anything about this right now? I think I play out the Eldrazi Temple and the Lotus Petal here. And then we pass. This lines us up for an uncountable Thought-Knot Seer if we draw it. We can also fire off an emergency Kozilek's command if we need to. Not sure why we would need to, but it's a thing we're allowed to do. Alright, 2 mana. You can see like Spreading Seas or something. Tide Shaper. So they target our land here. I think I'm going to try and kill this with a Kozilek's command. So we'll exile target creature, and I would like to draw a card. Because by killing this, it's kind of the same as making more mana. Okay, we got a Force of Will out of our opponent. Okay, so we have an island now. It does help us bounce stuff with our Wastescape Battlemage, which isn't the worst. I think this is Wasteland, their Wasteland time. I'm okay taking 2 damage from this for a couple of turns. At some point we can bounce this. And if we keep their mana low, Harbinger of the Seas is less likely to come down. Okay, this is a thing we want to blow up relatively soon, especially since the opponent's missing land drops. So what is the play next turn? Is it the Wasteland? It's probably the Wasteland. And a Temple. This is pretty good as well. So do we just play out this other Temple and have lots of mana for next turn? I think so. I think if our opponent had a Wasteland, they'd be inclined to blow it on this because this is still a non-basic land. Next turn, we can play the Cavern of Souls, get green mana out of it, and then blow this up. We're not going to have enough mana to also blow up the Tide Shaper, or bounce the Tide Shaper, I don't think. Because that is, what, 2, 4, 5 mana. We're only going to have 4 mana. But blowing up the Ether Vial is fine. Eye of Ugin. Does that change anything here? Not really. Play this, name Eldrazi. Let's cast this with Kicker. Goodbye Ether Vial. Have you got 1-drop to put in? Have they got a Stifle effect? They could have Consign to Memory here. That's pretty good. They can't count the Battle Mage, they can count the trigger here. It is the Consign. But we now have a creature that can beat their creature in combat. Obviously, they drop in a Lord, then all of a sudden the stats are all out of whack for us and we die. We could do with drawing some action instead of lands. But we're not under great reams of pressure right now. Alright, Wasteland is good. They take out our Cavern, obviously. Stop us getting... Oh, they take out the Temple. That tells us they don't have counter magic. Do I... If they have a Lord, I think this attack is just a quick, we send our guy in. But they pause for a while, which makes me think they don't have the Lord. How bad for us is it if they do have the Lord? It's pretty bad. Is it worth calling the bluff here or not? I don't think it is. Maybe they did a little pause, a little bit of gamesmanship, make us think they were thinking hard about whether or not they're supposed to attack. There we go. They did have the Lord, so we were right not to block. 1 card left in our opponent's hand. Oh no, they're playing the last card as well. They could have played this pre-combat and gotten 1 more damage. I guess they were trying to bait us into dying with our Battle Mage, which is reasonable. An Ancient Tomb. That is lands, isn't it? That's not really what I'm here for. Let's play this and pass. So these all have Island Walk. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage coming through. I don't think we're winning this one. Getting merfolked right in the heart. No blocks allowed. Out goes our face. That is a Mist Caller. If a non-token creature would enter and wasn't exiled, it wasn't cast. Okay, so we have a Kozilek's command. What does that actually do for us here? We can kill this, make a bunch of chump blockers, because we're not going to have an island if this goes away. That's probably about the best we have available. When do we fire this off? Well, if we kill one of these, we're dead because we still have an island and the others set out 3. So we do have to kill this and make some chump blockers. Which means we probably do it in our opponent's upkeep. So we need to exile target creature and make a bunch of spawns. So X is currently 3 because of the Eye of Ugin. So we get rid of this. We no longer have an island. We have enough chump blockers to last a little bit longer. And maybe we can draw something big enough to tangle with these. We are in a position where we can just draw Devourer of Destiny, but I think we boarded them out because they're 7 drops against the Day's Wasteland deck. No, we still have them actually. Okay. A Lord of Atlantis. Yep. You've got some large friends. Every single one of these is lethal. I think I would rather have a spawn than a 2/2 at this point. Alright, deck's got to be good. It's going to be a land. Sire of 7 Deaths. That is pretty good, isn't it? How do we cast it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we don't have to... And 7 life is a lot of life, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 2 blockers. So we block the 2 biggest ones. We gain 7, but take 8. So we still live. And then this has Vigilance, Menace, Trample, Reach, all sorts of stuff. So we're going to be able to attack, play sword and shield with it. We need our opponent to brick this turn. But we have some good options. The Mistcaller is some nice tech to play against, like Reanimator and stuff. Don't have anything, opponents. Tideshaper kills us. They could double block this guy on the attacks. Then we have first strike, they have to triple block it. And then they still lose 2 guys, and we gain 7. That's probably okay for us. We have to be attacking with the Sire of 7 Deaths. We can't just hold back with it. Because if our opponent just finds an answer, then we die. Alright, lots of stuff happening over here. I should take this one out. These are all the same size, aren't they? So we block here. This does have lifelink, yes, okay. So the first strike happens. We take this out. And then we take 6. Okay. I think we are winning this game now. Turns out some giant 7/7 guy is pretty spooky. Right, let's come in with the Sire of 7 Deaths. What a keyword Vigilance is. Okay, then we can play this one out. And then we can go and Grim Monolith next turn if we want to. We can use the Grim Monolith to activate the Eye of Ugin and get a creature for next turn. Probably just a Linebreaker maybe. Or we can get the Devourer of Destiny and just take out one of these Lords of Atlantis. So we've got a Tideshaper that doesn't kill us. I don't believe we have another Sire of 7 Deaths that we can fetch if we wanted to. No, they're in the board. I don't think they're right to have more of them in this matchup when our opponent is doing Harbinger of the Seas, Wasteland Days type stuff. Alright, no attacks this time. Let's activate this. Alright, they've had enough and we got the match. It looked dicey, but I did say our creatures were better, so if we could stick them in front of our opponent's things, we would win the game, and that is what happened. 4 rounds down, we are 3-1, and the one we lost was a 1-2. So let's go to the final round and see if we can put another 4 on the board with Eldrazi. I don't think I'm keeping this Devourer of Destiny hand. I need something that does things at some point early on in the game. This is not very exciting. I think we still keep it, but I'm really not very happy about it. I don't really like mulliganing too much for this deck. Feels like we need a lot of our resources. I guess we get rid of the Wastescape Battlemage. It's the least impactful of the cards that are more difficult to leverage. So we begin on a Wasteland, and then we pass it over. We deploy a Grim Monolith next turn. Underground Sea. We getting Thought Seized? No. We could just Wasteland this. Chalice of the Void. I think that might be more interesting than a Grim Monolith here. Or do we play the Grim Monolith into it to play around Days? No, I think we just... So worst case scenario here, our opponent casts Entomb and then Days this. Okay, that is the worst case scenario for us. And then they untap and play Reanimate. So putting a Traxxer in, is this getting Dazed? No. Okay, so Reanimate is off, but Animate Dead is live. They only have 1 Animate Dead in their deck. It certainly doesn't mean they don't have it though. It's certainly possible. I don't think we want to be playing the Wasteland game here. Land. Not a land. Let's cast a Grim Monolith. This allows us to do Kozilek's command as a piece of graveyard hate in an emergency, as well as just getting more mana for next turn. I'd much rather use this to cast our threats and do that whole jam. But you got to do what you got to do. It's Borrower bouncing our thing. No, it's just some little guy we don't care about. Excellent. We don't have the One Ring in our deck, so Bowmaster's not really a big deal here. It's definitely going to be a matchup where having the graveyard hate options that we do have in Faerie Macabre will become pretty good. Okay. A Wasteland is pretty nice. So we're going to take 2 this turn unless they want to flash in a Bowmaster for extra damage. Alright, we're getting a Bowmaster for extra damage, are we? No, this is going to be a Kaito. That is interesting. Kaito in reanimated decks is not the most common thing. But yeah, it's pretty bad news. We get a red mana, then we're okay and we get to kill the Kaito. So we need to draw a Cavern of Souls. That is the best draw in our deck here. So let me get a Cavern of Souls, please. One time. An Eye of Ugin. Like, that's not bad. Let's play the Eye of Ugin. I think this is... Thought-Knot Seer costs 2 mana here. So we could play a Thought-Knot Seer into another Thought-Knot Seer. Let's try the first one and then see how we go. Barragoyf is pretty irritating here, I won't lie. We can obviously remove it. We don't really want to get Brazen Borrowed. Just get the tempo, get another card. That's pretty annoying. So I think we take the Borrower first. And then I believe we are playing out this Thought-Knot Seer as well. I guess we could have played the Kozilek's command and dug a little bit. And what is more annoying to me, it's probably the Barragoyf. Yeah, so we could have done like a little Kozilek's command, got some value, and then deployed the Thought-Knot Seer. I think that was a misstep from us there that might cost us. So it would have been a Kozilek's command for 3 first, and then we can use 2 of them to pay for the Thought-Knot Seer. So we would have been able to look at 3 cards deeper and get 1 more blocker, if that's the thing we want. I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of our guys tap down here. Alright, goodbye Eye of Ugin. It was nice having you for that brief moment. If they try and use this Orcish Bowmaster token to block, then we can get rid of it with a K command. But I suspect we're... So what, they play the Bowmasters, that means we've lost life, so they can then just get the card off of the Surveil here. This is probably what I would do if I was our opponent. Alright, they're pumping their Ninja, so we have to double block if we want to kill this. But I think it's okay to trade one of these for the Kaito. Kaito is kind of scary. Yep, they get a card. Not an ideal trade, but Kaito's not on the board anymore, and that card is the sort of thing that can go over the top of what we're trying to do here. We know the Talier doesn't do anything just yet because of our Chalice, but you always have to factor in if your opponent's going to have a Brazen Borrower at some point, right? Especially in this deck that sometimes runs as many as 4. Right, they're getting rid of a 1-drop. Makes sense to me. Where is my Cavern of Souls, please? Let me have a Cavern, and then we can just start smashing face. So the Orcish Bowmasters pings us for 1, and then they can block with enough to kill it. Alright. A Murktide Regent. That was not one we knew about. That is upsetting for me. Eldrazi Temple. That's some mana, but not necessarily enough mana. 7 mana is many manas. This is 4 to untap. This only makes 1 because it only makes... I guess if we do a Kozilek's command here and dig with it, is that what we have to do? I think it is. We're under the gun a little bit. But we know this will resolve now, and we also know that we don't have to worry about Bowmasters. This can go on the bottom. I guess I'll take this. Slowly working towards it. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the mana we need. So we could untap this, and the following turn we get to get rid of this. We have options. They're not great, but they are what they are. This also leaves us live to drawing the Sire of 7 Deaths, which will beat the Murktide in combat. A Glaring Fleshraker, you say? Now that is something I can work with. Oh, we only need it for 1, don't we? Here. Right, here is our little friend. We know they've got a Bowmasters. I'm curious if they just play it at the end step or not. They do. Okay, so in response we will do a little K command, I think. That's right, we do a K command. There's only a K command for 1. That's not very many. No, I don't think we do that then. Tagging our face. Yep. So this Murktide Regent is threatening to kill us pretty soon. They need to find 2 points of damage. Yep, in comes the Murktide. There are situations where we kill our opponent next turn though. And Eldrazi Temple. I don't hate that one. Okay, so let's do this. Target us, target us. Actually, is that true? Can we just kill this Murktide? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're one shy of killing the Murktide, right? Because we need 9. So yeah, we're just going to go big here. We're dead to another Bowmasters, but that's okay. We're dead to a Daze. But I think we just need to take a big swing here. Okay, so we can play a Sire of 7 Deaths. That seems very good. I don't think we want this Lotus Petal. I don't think we want this Grim Monolith. Don't think we need a Fleshraker. I don't actually think we need a Reality Smasher. We definitely don't want a Linebreaker because I haven't got the mana for it. Do you want this Smasher? It does turn the corner a little bit. I don't think we want the Smasher though. I think we just would like to draw a red source. And this goes on top. We ping our opponent a bunch. They ping us for 1 with the Bowmasters. Then we drop this Sire of 7 Deaths using one of our little tokens here. I think our opponent had a Daze, they would have burned it on the previous decay command, because that would just erode our entire turn. Oh, they just had another Bowmasters. Sure. Well, the best deck is the best deck for a reason at the end of the day, isn't it? Let's have a little looky. We want the Graveyard Hate. So that's these and probably some Hearses. I'm actually pretty reluctant to have the Sire of 7 Deaths because it's something they can discard and then reanimate. So I kind of want to get rid of that one. These aren't that scary if they're reanimated. Faerie Macabres and Unlicensed Hearse. What needs to go? Like maybe it's just our top end goes because this is a Wastelandy style deck. We just have these things like Wastescape Battlemage can answer Murktide. This seems reasonable and sensible. Turn 1 Fleshraker is okay. I think we do still play out the turn 1 Fleshraker here. Because if our opponent has a Wasteland or a removal spell, they can deal with it, but they can't deal with our land and the Fleshraker. So they kind of have to make a choice unless they can counterspell this. So we're either going to make it with the Fleshraker, which can give us some mana, or we're going to have it with our Ancient Tomb that can give us some mana. Or both, which is pretty exciting. Faerie Macabre is nice. I will attack with this Fleshraker. I think if they had a Fatal Push, they would have done it on their turn. Just to stop us from being able to get some free guys with this. So now we can just sit on this Kozilek's command. If our opponent puts something in the graveyard, we can try and target it. We don't even have to do that. We have the Faerie Macabre as well. And Entomb. You got it. Faerie Macabre looking wonderful right now. Just get rid of these two. You're gone. Not for you, opponent. I will try this K command at end of turn. Sure, we play into a Daze, but then if they don't have it, it's very good. Just secures our next draw. Right, we're getting a Force of Will here. I'll take that. 2 for 1. We still get a guy off the spawn anyway. A Temple here. This still leaves us with a K command that we can use. Because we have the 1 spawn. So we can still exile something if they go Entomb Reanimate on this turn cycle as well. But they are dead on board. Alright, we got that game. Graveyard Hate was good. Alright, I think we just resend it. No Graveyard Hate. I think it's okay. Like, obviously, Kozilek's command is kind of Graveyard Hate, but isn't always Graveyard Hate. So I think we have to start on the Ancient Tomb here. We don't want to expose our Cavern. We need to make sure our spells resolve. So I think it's Ancient Tomb first, and then we do Linebreaker. We also have the access to the Wastescape Battlemage, which can kick and bounce the scary reanimation target out of play. They might be less inclined to do reanimation stuff after they got blown out by the Faerie as well. They might just be on a more tempo-y plan. Thoughtseize would be good here, though. If it's not a Thoughtseize, it's a Ponder. Hallelujah. A Wastescape Battlemage. Am I just deploying this as a threat? Just to sort of get the ball rolling and pressure our opponents? I'm not opposed to that. Alright, let's play a Grizzly Bear. Because this way, if our opponent starts doing the whole Wasteland game, they're going to be taking chip shots. And if their life total gets lower, it makes their reanimate plan worse as well. We've got an Entomb. We didn't have enough mana to Entomb to deal with this, unfortunately. The K command requires us to have 3 mana. Right, so they're going to get an Atraxa. How bad is it going to be for us, I wonder? Doesn't look great for us, does it? They're going to have a Force of Will. Probably this Consign to Memory, which is the way they can deal with our Wastescape Battlemage. So that's a little bit annoying. So we got Ponder, Polluted Delta, Brazen Borrower, Consigned to Memory. So no Force of Will. Okay. Name Eldrazi. Get a Linebreaker in. This isn't necessarily the highest power threat that we have access to in our deck right now. So this can be 5, but they have a 7. So we'll just not attack here. Into this massive lifelink wall. They've got their own version of Sire 7 Deaths right there. So we need our opponent to go shields down on this Consigned to Memory to get our Wastescape Battlemage through. We could make a Linebreaker that's big enough to get through. But we don't have a lot of time because 7 is a lot. And if we tap this Ancient Tomb, we're dead on the next turn. Okay. Wasteland is obviously very good. They take out our coloured mana source. So we can't bounce this even if we want to. Play this, name Eldrazi. If we make a guy here, we die. So we can't do that. We could make a guy and attack, but they just don't take the damage. So I guess we are just chilling out for another turn. I don't know how we're supposed to win this one. Turn to Attractor does do that to people. That is why this is so far above all the other decks in the format right now. And we'll discuss the data at the end. Alright, so we're going to go to 2 here. This switches off our Ancient Tomb. Lovely. Exactly what I wanted. I love it when I can't use any of my spells. No, we got nothing. Turn 2 Attractor, still good. So we finished with a 3-2. The 2 rounds we lost were 1-2s. They weren't, like, super one-sided. We definitely could have come out with wins in either of those matchups. So let's talk about the deck. So I think Eldrazi is a pretty good deck. This and Mono Red Stompy are the 2 Stompy decks of choice. The Neo Initiative deck has kind of fallen by the wayside after having one really good week. It's kind of turned into nothing because it's very, very fragile. This is quite fragile. I think this is more fragile than the Mono Red Stompy decks. But some of the things you can do is going to like smash up your opponents in a big way. And I did quite like this build. I didn't really miss the end of this one. There was like one game where it would have been nice to have had like just something that we could cast, like, you know, just make a 3-3 on turn 2 or something. But generally speaking, it felt fine. Obviously, any deck that looks like this has strong and weak hands. You know, sometimes with turn 1 Linebreaker in, and that's just going to go and win us the whole game. Sometimes we're not playing threats for quite a few turns, and you saw that happen. What this deck really wants is like a powerful 2-drop threat. We don't have a powerful 2-drop threat. We can sometimes skip to 3 drops, but I think a powerful 2-drop threat would really change the way that this deck functions and makes it really good. It's still good though. It's still fine. I think it is definitely a contender. And if we look at the stats, so this is the meta for this last week that's just happened. As you can see, Blue Black Reanimator once again with a top 8 share of 35%, which is its average over the 5 weeks as well. Last week it had under 35%, and then I think the first week it had over 40%, so it evens out at 35 overall. We'll have a look at that in a minute. So its overrep is quite high. The recent Legacy Showcase Challenge had 9 players who were on Blue Black Reanimator, and 4 of them made the top 8. So that gives you an indication. Carnforge is still ticking up very nicely. If you look at the overrep rate, it's very high. So Carnforge has had a very good week. Oopsal Spells has had a pretty reasonable week as well. It's creeping back in there. And if we look at Eldrazi, they did get a tournament win with Eldrazi this week. If we look at the overall data for the entire 5-week spread, this is what we end up with. So over the entire 5 weeks so far, Blue Black Reanimator on 35% with 70 top 8s. The second place is Red Stompy with only 16. As you can see, this is a pretty huge disparity. But if we start looking at like deck wins, there's some interesting stuff going on here. So 7 is the most amount of actual tournament wins that a deck has got. And then second place is Eldrazi, which is why I wanted to go over this data today, because the deck we're playing is one of the 4 that has managed to win a tournament, but that's pretty good going. And if we look at the 5-week spread, the overrep rate is pretty good as well. It's slightly higher than Blue Black Reanimator. Obviously, the sample size is smaller, so the smaller the sample size you have, the more wiggle room for how grey that data actually is. So obviously, Blue Black Reanimator has a huge amount of data behind it, so we can be pretty confident in these numbers and that they're actually really impressive. Whereas, like, if we go down to, let's say, the Basim Grixis deck, it was basically one person played it one time and did well in a tournament. So it's got a really high overrep rate, but it doesn't mean it's like an amazing deck that's changing things. It's just little blips for like an unplayed deck completely changes things. So yeah, that's the meta. And this was the Eldrazi deck. I really like this build. Do I prefer it to the previous builds that we've been playing? I don't know, it's kind of similar. I could see just getting these Devourer of Destinies and turning them into endless ones and that being fine as well, because that kind of just gives you that little early bit of pressure that you can start, you know, attacking your opponent with. But again, this is also still fine, and it's going to enable some really strong opening turns. If you're on the play, you don't get to see that card because you're just setting the top of your library in the first upkeep. So if you're on the draw, then you get to draw that card. But obviously on the play you don't, so you're not always going to set up your turn 1. So half the time this is only setting up turn 2s, which is something to be really aware of. But yeah, deck feels cool. We managed to absolutely grind someone into the dirt with Sire 7 Deaths, which makes me happy. This card is large and I enjoy it. Alright, and if you enjoyed this one, please remember to like and subscribe. A lot of you lovely people out there are watching my content without subscribing, so why not hit that subscribe button? It helps the algorithm, and I really appreciate it. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.